We are going to talk about how to make your Botox look better and last longer, which is always something our patients are asking us about.
It's always shocking to me, and I think a lot of people have this misconception. Everyone thinks when they come and get Botox in their forehead, it's going to lift their brows. I hear every single day. That's not what happens, though.
Dosing is so key.
I think that's probably the most important, is the dose.
Consistency matters, but you can't be over frequent in your treatment.
Yeah, at week 2, I'm like, man, this sucks. Welcome to Fill and Tell, where we spill the tea on all things aesthetics.
We're your hosts. I'm Megan.
And I'm Lauren.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on what goes on behind the treatment room door.
From filler to facelifts, skincare to aesthetic secrets.
We're taking you behind the scenes of the industry with unfiltered conversations, expert insights, and maybe a little gossip along the way. Okay, on this episode of Fill and Tell, we are going to talk about how to make your Botox look better and last longer, which is always something our patients are asking us about. And I feel like it's one of the most misunderstood topics in aesthetics. I feel like oftentimes I hear people say, Botox just doesn't work on me anymore. Mm-hmm. But it really comes down to a lot of things. Technique, dosing, your muscle strength and your anatomy, your metabolism, your lifestyle, dilution, etc.
There is some more people, though, that are actually legit becoming a little bit more resistant to
Do you think that's
neurotoxin.
A certain brand, though?
No, I think it's probably across the board, since all neurotoxins are botulinum type A.
I just mean that I feel most commonly I hear Botox doesn't work on me anymore.
Brand
like the
name.
True brand name.
Yeah.
I've never really heard
I feel like Botox
say,
more than anything is like the most, it's very a consistent product. I mean, it's been around for a long time. There's the most studies on it for the longest time. Of course, we all have like our little favorites here and there, but I mean, there's no doubt that Botox is not a great product with a lot of research.
Yeah, no, it's been around the longest, right? Yeah. How many years? 25, 26 years?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think this episode will be really good for people who have felt like they're quote-unquote Botox. And we are talking about a brand name, but overall people use the word Botox as a general term for neurotoxin. But if you are thinking your tox hasn't lasted as long as it used to, or maybe you've switched injectors and you're like, oh my gosh, how does my Botox look so much better with her than with my previous injector? We're going to kind of go through maybe some pearls on how you as a patient can
maximize your results. Yeah.
And then also maybe just for injectors who want to get perfect tox results every time, maybe this will be helpful for you. So what actually helps it last longer? Dosing is so key.
I think that's probably the most important, is the dose. And
tell the story of a patient that went somewhere else while we were unemployed.
Oh, yes. So I've been doing her neurotoxin for a while. Not like remembering her exact dosage, but know that she's got thicker skin, like bigger muscles. I go above kind of like what my typical is. So her dose is pretty dialed in. And she goes every 4 months. And so when we didn't have jobs and weren't working, it was a little bit less per unit. And I think they definitely changed the dosage some, because she told me like it was significantly less
money
that I pay.
Our tox is dosed a little bit higher than normal in town.
And she was like, but it didn't last hardly at all. Like it lasted 6 weeks and that was it. Mm-hmm. So I think dosing is huge, and that takes a while to really try to figure out the exact dose, especially for a new patient. But the most important, I mean, I've been injecting you for many years, and I feel like we still change your dose.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a hard patient, but my forehead is hard.
Yeah. But this time, I think it did pretty good. I didn't get as many texts about your heavy eyelids this time.
No, I was heavy for only that first week.
Yeah.
And then it let up, whereas when we did super heavy last time, I was heavy for like 4 weeks.
Okay.
It's not even heaviness, it's my lymphatic pooling.
So then I wonder, it'll be interesting to see how long this dose lasts.
Yeah.
It's moving a little bit.
Is it moving?
Nah, not really. Your brows are just like, can raise a smidge. What about mine? Is it moving?
No.
Good.
I like some movement in the brows.
Not me.
Okay, so anyways, when someone comes in and says like, I want baby Botox, or like, I want to not be frozen or have that frozen look, or they, for whatever reason, like want ultra conservative dosing, I feel like as an injector, that's where you run into this problem, I guess, of not wanting them to feel like you made them frozen.
Right.
But at the same time, you know that the dose equals the duration.
Yes.
Here's what I tell a lot of patients is that whether I put 2 units in your forehead or 17, when it first kicks in, it's going to look good in quote unquote frozen, right? Because that's what the neuromodulator does. It stops the muscle movement. But those 2 units are going to last you 1 week. Right. Those 17 units are going to hopefully last you 3 months.
Yeah. I can think of one person specifically that I have done some baby Botox on, and we had this discussion. I said, this is not going to last, and you have to be okay with that. We're not doing a lot, but she wanted to be, and I really underdosed her so that she would still have some movement, and then placement, of course, like had to change up the placement, but she really wanted to be able to, she was a therapist, wanted to be able to really like emote and animate to her patients. And so like I can understand that from like a career standpoint. And so I told her, I was like, this won't last you as long as it should, and all your movement will come back, and you're still going to need to wait that full 3 months before we do it again. But for the general patient,
set those expectations. I think it's when people come in with the expectation of, I want less dosing, but I want you to still give me the longevity, and I still want it to remove all of my lines.
Yes.
That's where expectations are unrealistic.
And that's where you run into problems too of getting this patient or injector hopping, or like the patient who's coming in and they only want to pay for like 10 or 15 units, but then 6 weeks later, they're going to go pay for 10 or 15 more. And then they're kind of just like sprinkling it in from time to time, and it's never going to last them, and they will develop resistance. Right. So dosing is the most important. It's definitely what gets you 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, etc. And I think you've got to be specific with that.
I don't feel like we've posted our dose for our, like personally ourselves. We always are just like, oh, we did 100 units. We did for Daxify, we did 200 units. But I think people would be surprised at our units, because we dose very correctly for ourselves.
I know. And that's a hard thing when patients come from somewhere else and have been heavily underdosed, and their bill changes drastically. It's not because we're more expensive. It's just because you're getting the right dose, and that will give you longer lasting and better results.
We typically don't treat patients every 3 months, though.
No. 4.
Number 1, I encourage them at 4. And number 2, I encourage them to have almost all of their movement back. For me, that's a big thing, because I personally wait until all of my movement is back. I know you do it as well. And there is something about having full movement and then getting your Botox and it kicking in and it looking so good, because you've had that full movement. I'm a big advocate also about you having full movement, because I know that none of the muscles have any Botox left in them, because that's what we know can possibly lead to resistance. Resistance is still like, we don't really know exactly how it happens, but the chance that frequency and retreating before you're due is possibly leads to resistance. So consistency matters, but you can't be over frequent in your treatments.
Yeah, I think that 4 months is pretty good. You're not back to baseline at 4 months. You're probably close to, some of my patients are, but some are like 80%, and I think that's totally reasonable. At 3 months, you're probably like at 50% for most patients, unless you're really like a high metabolizer. But if you're only getting it once a year, that consistency is where it is important, because that's not necessarily going to help prevent those static lines.
Yeah. So I agree with that. So what actually also helps Botox last longer? Treating all contributing muscles. So we are big advocates of full face refinement. And that's because if, for instance, you only treat the glabella, your crow's feet pull stronger, your forehead typically pulls stronger, and so
and vice versa too. When people only want to treat their forehead, that's really where you have to be educated on what the muscles do. It's always shocking to me, and I think a lot of people have this misconception. Everyone thinks when they come and get Botox in their forehead, it's going to lift their brows. I hear every single day. That's not what happens, though. Your forehead is the only lifter in your upper face. It's the only thing raising your eyebrows. So you have to think about Botox as and all neurotoxins as opposite medicine. So if something is lifting, therefore you're raising your brows and we're lifting up, Botox will lower them. So you have to treat the other muscles in order to get this quote unquote lift that you're talking about.
And be strategic about your placement.
But yes, exactly. Well, yeah, forehead placement is huge. You can strategically avoid over this eyebrow to force that muscle up more. But then you have to be careful because then you'll walk around
with
the Spock eyebrow all the way up here, which ain't cute.
People think Botox is easy, but it's honestly one of the most challenging. At
Foreheads
least in the forehead. For sure. So treat all contributing muscles because if you don't, it can recruit surrounding muscles, especially in the lower face, and make them fire more aggressively and just be kind of out of balance.
And when you really start to get this like hyper animation of the lower face as we age, and you've got all the skin laxity and you're losing volume, you see a lot of that muscle pull a lot more. And so if your forehead and your upper face is totally frozen, but you've got all this stuff going on, it's just like it's very disconnecting to your eyes.
It's a telltale sign.
Yeah. So you're now just looking at people's mouth and stuff. Where we want people to look at your eyes, like when you're chatting and like conversating. So that's the whole, encompassing the full face, is so that things just aren't off.
So your overall metabolic health, like your protein intake, are you a marathon runner? Do you naturally have a higher metabolism? Are you, is it hard for you to keep on weight? All of those things definitely contribute to the metabolism of your neurotoxin.
Yes, for sure. And a lot of sun exposure. I, think that certainly contributes as well. Just having, especially if you're not doing good skincare and you have all this oxidative damage, your wrinkles will come back much quicker. This is a big topic for GLP-1 users, especially if they're not prioritizing and eating right. Their metabolic function is all kinds of messed up. So
you can't expect, like, I mean, if you're a GLP-1 abuser and you aren't eating adequate protein intake, you're not building collagen, you're not actively repairing your muscles. There's a lot that goes on there. So unfortunately, I did a few sessions of sculpture on my patient, and I was like, she came back for a recheck, and I was like, why? Like, I was like, what's going on? Why? Like, and I was like, are you using like any weight loss supplements? And she was like, oh yeah, I've lost like 20 pounds. And I was like, do you eat well? And she was like, not really. And I was like, all of that sculpture, it didn't work.
Right.
And that's not my fault.
No, you have to have these conversations with people, and that's, it is not a good idea to do some of these collagen stimulating procedures on people who are in this active rapid weight loss, because your body is not prioritizing building collagen, and you don't have the building blocks, the essential amino acids to do that.
Yeah.
So you're wasting some money there. So
another one is zinc supplementation.
I do have some of my patients who are difficult to do this. I feel like it's iffy.
There was a research article that came out. I feel like there's been mixed data. There was something that came out, and it was zinc plus like phytase supplementation. And there was some like promising results, but then something else came out, like another paper that basically disproved it. So it's not a bad thing to take zinc and supplement with it.
But the that they want you to take is a pretty high dose, and so it can give you some tummy problems, and it can kind of make you have some GI upsets, like 50 milligrams. So that's much higher than like what is like a normal dose, and you have to take it beforehand. You can't take it afterwards. It doesn't have the same effect, if any effect, but it has to be done before.
Yeah, I think before starting yourself on zinc, maybe get your labs drawn and also prioritize healthy living, good metabolic health, exercise, water intake, and a good skincare routine. And I feel like you probably don't need zinc, but if you've put patients on zinc that are all of those things and doing all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I few just like resistance type patients.
Yeah, because like truly Nina is so healthy and she's resistant.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm okay healthy and I have a weird thing going on with mine.
Yeah. But like in true resistant people don't have it kick in at all.
Right.
And then those other people where it kicks in, but it just doesn't last very long. So I think she is like,
which one is
doesn't
she?
kick
it doesn't
in.
kick in.
Doesn't
That's what
work.
I thought.
Like they come back in 2 weeks and nothing has happened. Nothing has changed.
Whereas mine was okay. It kicked in, but it was
it's
like
gotten
okay.
better though.
Well, because we use Hylenex now.
Yeah. So I did that to a patient. I've done it both ways on her, where I went back to using not bacteriostatic saline. So there's bacteriostatic saline is great because it keeps the bacteria down, but it has alcohol in it, and alcohol can denature Botox. So if you're having some resistance problems with patients, you can take away that bacteriostatic and go back to regular saline. Just burns like a you know what. But for her, she did much better changing her saline to regular normal saline versus this past time we did it with Hylenex, and it did not do as well.
Really?
Yeah. So she got much better results with the saline. Just hurts.
Yeah, and the Hylenex doesn't.
No,
which is
it does
interesting because normally it burns when you.
But I think it's because you're still like that bacteriostatic water takes some of that sting out, and you're still mixing it with that. But the normal saline really hurts. Remember when we did that normal saline with Daxify when it first came out? And it hurt like a bitch.
Because Carly's pretty tough, and she was one of my first Daxify patients. She's like, Megan, I can't handle this.
It hurt. Yeah. And even with the bacteriostatic, like it stings a smidge to me.
It doesn't to me. I know you said that you were being a weenie that day, though, I think.
No.
How else to make your Botox look good and last long? Going to an injector who has a good injection technique. The correct depth is so important. And I actually feel like some people don't do this properly, which is wild to me because depth is everything.
Yeah. So like the glabella, for instance. If you're superficial in the glabella, you're going to hit the frontalis, which is your forehead muscle. And then that's how you're getting that really dropped medial brow there. A lot of
like
people,
Simon Cowell got.
Yes, a lot of people think it's because of their forehead. And so then they lighten up their forehead dose and they're still heavy. And it's because they're not doing the right depth here. And then...
Well, and then in the forehead, if you're high and you don't treat deep... It's just not getting into the muscle well.
Right.
So it's not like anything bad will happen up here like it does in the glabella, but you're not going to, it's probably not going to last as long.
Right.
So you could have a good dose, but if your depth is not strategically placed, then it won't last as long either.
Right. You have to know where these muscle origins and insertions are and where they live, what muscles like overlap them. Are they deep? Are they superficial? Like the crow's feet, very superficial. Right?
I know.
Like,
I feel like another telltale sign of someone who isn't great at depth is crow's feet and getting shelving.
Yeah. And it certainly happens to the best of us, right? Like you think about the hundreds of patients you inject every month. And like somebody is going to get a little too deep right there.
Well, and I think managing expectations too, because every single time yours kicks in, because one, we do the proper dose on you, but two, we're doing your jellies. It almost looks like you're going to have shelving every time because you are not able to crunch your eye at all, but you give it 3 weeks and it's perfect.
I was going to say, it really is that week 2. Yeah. And like now we're at 4 weeks and it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, at week 2, I'm like, man, this sucks.
Another one that I just thought of because I have that little chart in here is managing expectations. That doesn't necessarily like help or hurt your actual Botox results, but like I try to tell everybody who comes in, one, let's redose you at 4 months because I want it to last through the 3rd month. But when I say I want it to last through the 3rd month, that doesn't mean like
you have no movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be here, right? And it's gonna be frozen-ish, right? However you want it to look, and then it's going to gradually taper off.
Right.
And so having some movement, even having 50% movement back, doesn't mean that you necessarily need your Botox yet.
Yeah. I like to get you to about 80%. We don't need to be 100% worn off, but about that 80% mark. I mean, myself, I'm way at 100.
I'm
because
just letting y'all know, as your injectors, we are 120% fully back every
it's
time.
probably
we
because
treat.
we don't want to work anymore and inject each other at the end of the day.
I know. I want some Skin Vive and Sculptra, and I'm wondering when I can get you to do that.
Not right now, sister.
Anywho, alrighty. Well, I think that helped you guys. And if you're a new injector, if you're an injector that's having trouble with Botox, longevity,
or a patient that's experienced some issues, hopefully some of these pearls help. And leave us questions down below. We'll happy to answer them. And check us out on Instagram, Fill and Tell Podcast. And do state. If you're in town, come see us as a patient.